Hi YouTube. So today I am back with another cancer related video. I have not been doing too many of these videos that I intended on doing regarding the stem cell transplant and all of that stuff because frankly they're a little bit hard to film for me because it's a lot of reliving bad stuff, and I am one of those people that likes to just kind of pretend like nothing bad happened, which is not really a way to deal with things. And then the reason I made this channel again was to help people who might be in similar situations. So I wanted to film this video. So this video is going to be the way I found out I had relapsed and the journey leading up to being re-diagnosed with cancer. So if there's anyone out there that is afraid that they may have relapsed, looking for symptoms or experiences with the process, they can watch this video and hopefully it will help them. So if you don't know me, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, originally diagnosed October of 2018, stage 2, completed 12 ABVD, well, 5 ABVD and 7 AVD, which I'll link that experience below if you want to watch it. I did all that chemo, and that brings us to the beginning of this story. So I finished that chemo, and there was a period of like 4 to 6 weeks where you had to wait to get a PET scan, which a PET scan shows if there's any activity like that's cancerous in your body. So I needed to get another PET scan to confirm that yes, I was in remission from the treatment I had just undergone. In the meantime, I decided to go back to work 6 weeks after I finished chemo because I really wanted life to return back to normal, part of that avoidant behavior I was just describing. So I went back to work and was kind of like, listen, if it's clear, great, I'm already back to work. If it's not, then I guess I'll deal with it then. So I got my scan, and this is when I was going to my first original oncologist. So I got my scan, and I remember obsessively like refreshing the online portal where they post the results, and I was like refreshing, and I remember distinctly I was sitting in a Tijuana Flats with my mom, and it came up and it showed that I had lymph nodes in my neck that were new and they had activity. And I remember just like telling my mom, we need to leave now. I started crying. I said I knew it, I wasn't clear, because I had like this thought in my mind that I wasn't going to be cleared of cancer for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's just like a pessimistic side of my brain, or maybe I just knew myself, but I was like, I know I'm not clear, So I got the scan. I had a doctor's appointment scheduled 3 days later, but I called the doctor immediately and I was like, I need an appointment like tomorrow. There's no like option. I need to talk to you about it. So I waited at the doctor for like, I swear it was like 3 hours because they had to like fit me in. And so I ended up talking with him. When I talked with him, it was actually like really good because he was like, I really don't think this is lymphoma. I really think this is maybe inflammation. Maybe you have Epstein-Barr virus again, because they check my markers, and my markers for Epstein-Barr are always really high. He's like, I really, the lymph nodes are so tiny that, we couldn't even biopsy them if we wanted to. I really think you're fine. We're going to rescan you in like 2 weeks or something. So at that point, I was kind of like, great, but I kind of was leery about what he was saying because I really don't like him as an oncologist, don't trust him at that point. I was kind of like, not sure. So I went to Mayo Clinic and I saw my oncologist that I actually have now. But I remember meeting with him and he was like, 2 weeks is not a lot of time to allow something to kind of like grow in your body. He's like, I would really push it out for about 4 weeks to have another scan, 4 to 6 weeks, and kind of go from there. And he's like, he looked me in the eyes and he was like, nothing's gonna happen to you if you wait 4 weeks. Like, I promise you, you'll be okay. And that was the first time I was like ready to cry, because nobody has ever like looked in my eyes and been like, you're gonna be okay. So I took his advice. I went back to my old oncologist because this was literally just like a consult to see like a higher lymphoma specialist. So I went back we had another scan and everything was stable. It was still there, but it was the same size and the same uptake. I have to turn on the fan. I have hot flashes, and if you hear the fan in the rest of the video, I'm sorry, but I can't. I have menopause now and hot flashes, so I'll be right back. Okay, so we did another scan, and I remember going back with my husband for the results, and everything had stayed the same. It was the same uptake, the same size lymph nodes after like 4 weeks, I think. And so the oncologist that I had before was like, you're in remission, let's schedule to get your port taken out. Bye, basically. Like, and I was like, yay, great, you know, I went back to work, I'm living my life again, I'm kind of like trying to put the cancer behind me. And this time I'm not really having any symptoms. Like, I'm tired, but you know, I'm expecting that because I've had such long course of chemotherapy, but no itchiness, no like feeling of lymph nodes here, nothing, really nothing. And so I'm going on my merry way. So there is another scan. You do like every 3 months, you get like a CT scan to just make sure nothing has grown. So on the same week that I was diagnosed the year before was my monitoring CT scan. And so we went to that. I'm like, you know, this is a crappy week, like, you know, but you know, everything's going fine. Like, I literally had a job like interview at my same job, but for the job that I left before I got sick the first time, like I had to step down to kind of transition back into work, and I had an interview scheduled. Like, I'm like, okay, you know, life's going good. I get the scan, I go in for the results, and oh crap, a lymph node in my chest has started growing. I'm like, okay, these ones on my neck are pretty much the same, but we still have this new development here in my chest. So my oncologist at the time was like, oh, I can no longer ignore these things. We need to do a biopsy. And I'm thinking, didn't know you were ignoring these. I thought it was all cool. But he starts saying like, well, we need to send you right away for a biopsy. But I think it's probably just like tuberculosis. And I'm thinking, tuberculosis? Like, tuberculosis was eradicated years ago. I mean, tuberculosis, but I'm like, shit, I'll take tuberculosis over cancer. So great, hopefully. I remember talking to the guy who was going to interview me, because people started talking about me going to the doctor and she might back out of the interview. And I remember calling and going, hey, it's cool, I just probably have tuberculosis. Like, they don't think I have cancer again, so I'm still gonna do the interview. And so the guy starts telling me I need like a bronchoscopy where they would like try to go down your throat. He's like, I know this really good ENT, go to him. So I go to him like the same day, bring the scans over, and he's looking at him and he's like, I don't think that I can do this surgery. You're probably gonna have to have the surgery where they cut right here and go down and get the lymph node out. And I know a guy down in a town nearby that's really good, but I think he's on vacation, but I'll try to call him. And this whole thing was just like so bizarre to me. Like, I know a guy, it's basically like he could have known a guy off the side of the road for all I knew about what he was talking. And I was like, this is just not going well. So in that time we had like a cruise set up, like a vacation. So we ended up still going on our cruise, my husband, my daughter, and myself. The whole time I'm like, you know, do I have cancer? Do I not? It was terrible. Like, the vacation was good, but just the mental state of like thinking, am I sick? I gotta deal with this when I get back. So I called, I was like, you know what? I need to go back to see this guy who helped me at the Mayo Clinic, because I just don't freaking trust this oncologist or this ENT, because they're just like tuberculosis, and I know a guy down the street and all this stuff, and I'm just like, I don't think so. So I went back to the Mayo Clinic and I spoke with the guy. Well, first of all, I called the Mayo Clinic, and this guy never, I had 1 day to go because I was like a day in between coming back from the cruise, going back to work, and it was literally 1 day extra I had off. And it was a day that the oncologist at Mayo Clinic usually doesn't work, and he is like the top person, so he's always booked. You have to have appointments in advance. So I remember just like calling the number, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm looking for an appointment on this day only. Does he have anything? And the guy was like, you know what? He doesn't work on this day, but this is the only Monday he's working. And somebody randomly just canceled, so I can put you on that appointment. And I was like, okay, this is like lining up to be, you know, fate. So I went and I talked to him, and he was like, you know what? I remember seeing you. Lymph nodes, they don't just like stay swollen usually. He's like, you know, we can kind of blame inflammation or something like that, or like an infection like tuberculosis. He's like, for so long, but if it's months and there's places like this that are enlarging, he's like, we really believe that it's probably going to be recurrent Hodgkin's. And I was like, you know, I didn't want to hear that, but I pretty much figured it. You know, I really didn't think I had tuberculosis. I wasn't sick. Wasn't sick. I didn't have any symptoms. That's the thing. I didn't have any symptoms. So he's like, you know, we need to set you up with a thoracic surgeon and kind of talk about getting a biopsy sooner rather than later. So I went to see a guy. Well, he said it wouldn't be like, it wasn't like I needed it that week, but, you know, I needed to go see a surgeon. So I went to a surgeon at Mayo Clinic. He was very sweet. He is usually booked for like 4 or 6 weeks out, but I mean, he was the best person to do it because he usually does like lung cancer removals, and this wasn't a difficult spot. I'm going to show you the scar. This is like where they had to go in for the biopsy. I had to be asleep, and I had to be in the it wasn't overnight in the hospital, but I did have to have a chest tube put in. But this is where it was, and he looked at the scans and told me, like, you know, I'm usually 6 weeks out, but talk with my coordinator, but I think I can get it if we go this way. So they looked at their schedule, and they're like, hey, he actually has one appointment in like a week, and there's been some cancellations, so we can get you in. And I was just like, okay, another like, this is meant to be situation. So I ended up scheduling it, went in for the biopsy. I was so scared. I didn't know this, but my mom told me later, but when he was in the surgery to get the lymph node, he pretty much saw that, yeah, it was cancer based on the way that it looked. And so he took it all out to make sure that I had a better chance. And he came out and told my mom, hey, I think, yes, this is cancer still. I took it all out. I really want her to have a better chance. And when I woke up, I was okay. It was a lot of pain though, but it was pain in my back. I don't know why, but the pain in my back was worse than anything up here. I got out the same day and drove 2 hours home with my mom, which I probably should have stayed in the hospital because it was a lot of pain. But they did it. I had a chest tube. They do an x-ray of your chest after just to make sure nothing's like wrong, and they literally pull the chest tube out and you go on your way. So I was freaked out about this procedure before I went into it, like Googling chest tubes, and I think it's like a mediastinectomy is what I had, maybe. It's not easy, but it's not as terrible as the internet leads you to believe. You can get through it. So I had that, and I kept like refreshing my online portal, of course, and I saw about like 3 days later that, yeah, I had Hodgkin's, still the same type of cancer again. And in this time too, like, I finally decided, like, I have to withdraw from this job I was going for, although like up to 2 days before I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, yeah, and then I'm like, yeah, no, I need freaking surgery. I probably have cancer again, so I need to like stop. So I got out of that. I went on leave again, beginning the day I had that surgery. It was hard to hear that I had it again. I since have now talked to my current oncologist, and he does believe that I had maybe a short period of remission, when maybe these may have just been inflammation, but that this one was the actual Hodgkin's that was growing. And he thinks that basically the reason that I didn't go into like holding up or stable remission, I don't know, the reason I didn't go into full remission is because I had to get the bleomycin removed halfway through, and probably I needed that to actually kick the Hodgkin's, but I mean, I couldn't continue on with it because I was allergic to it. But I have since, if you watch my channel, if you don't, I have since gone on to have a stem cell transplant and etc. You can check out those videos. But that is the long and winding story of how I figured out that I had relapse. Freaking nuts. Like, sometimes I wish like I had pushed harder to figure out that I still had some cancer before I had gone back to work for 5 months and tried to pretend like I had a normal life again. But at the same time, I'm grateful for the months that I had kind of just having no treatment, being able to be in normal life and kind of have a break from everything. Again, too, like, these were very small on my neck, and like those might not even be, those may be just permanently enlarged lymph nodes. They couldn't really go in and get them, you know, they were so small, so like it kind of gave time for this one to grow, unfortunately, but that was the way that they could get to it and diagnose it. But if you guys are having symptoms, for sure go to see your oncologist. Don't wait. If you're not having symptoms, still keep up with your scans, your appointments, your blood work. My blood work was perfect, by the way, perfect, but I still had cancer. So the way that we found it was the routine scans. So if your doctor is like one of those people that doesn't give you routine scans, I may question that, because that's the only way that I knew that I had cancer still. Hopefully this helps somebody out there. Please leave me a comment at any time. I'm happy to talk with you. I get a lot of comments from people who are like, sorry for keeping to ask you questions, but I'm just not sure, I have symptoms, la la la. This is why I make the videos, so I'm happy to answer you. You can always leave me a comment below. You can always, if you feel more comfortable, DM me on Instagram. It's oh you're so tough without the 0. That is everything today, guys. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up if this video helped you, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.